I'm Steve Brown, and I'm the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Clark County, Nevada, and welcome back. Well, with the Black Lives Matters protest continuing, what's the long-term prognosis for real reform, either criminal justice reform or police department reform? Well, I'm afraid it's not that good. Oh, they'll get something out of the deal. They'll have to give them the minimum amount that they can, but there's just way too much money to be made by mass incarceration. There's way too many corporations and politicians getting in on the gravy train, because this is a giant industry, mass incarceration and probation. And we're talking one of the biggest industries in the country. No other country in the world does this. The United States locks up people faster than any other country, including Cuba, Iran, China. About 4% of the women in the world live in the United States. But yet, the number of women in prison in the United States accounts for 33% of the world's female prison population. That's an astounding number. And it has absolutely nothing to do with making us safe. It has everything to do with the money. There's a thing called jail churn. About 10.5 million people a year go to jail in the United States. That can be devastating for an individual. They can lose their house, their car, their job, start them on a downward spiral that gets them back in jail again, which is where the system really wants them. A local judge said that the most expensive room in Las Vegas is not at the Bellagio or the MGM. He said it's not even on the Strip. He said it's the Clark County Detention Center. There's so much money involved. These vendors are making everything from food to toilet paper. Big money. And they pay very generously to the local politicians like these three scoundrels. The Democrats took control of the Nevada legislature and the governance mansion for the first time in 20 years, and Governor Steve Sisolak, along with Senate Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro and Assembly Leader Jason Frierson, conspired to kill criminal justice reform. There were people who really wanted it in the legislature. They had 16 very excellent bills. Not a single one of them passed. They killed them. And as a matter of fact, the only thing that did come out of there, was a bill to protect police from the public, from lawsuits. As a matter of fact, this bill was so bad even Metro administrators didn't even like it. That's how bad these three were. And they're the typical local politicians like Dina Titus, Stephen Horsford, Lawrence Weekly, that sell out to the prison vendors, and they're fine with keeping the jails full because they're all making money off it. And these people donate very generously to both parties, but especially the Democrats in this town. So, that Clark County Jail, it's got about 37 inmates now. 20 years from now, it's going to have about 37 inmates, 3,700. The only way it'll change is if they add on to it. And it's very expensive. But in addition to that, there's a lot of other ways for these companies to make money. In order to put money on the books for one of the inmates, these companies like JPay get monopolies. This will never be allowed on the outside world, but inside a prison or jail, this is really corrupt. This is why I refer to the Democrats and their friends as being honest thieves, which is what they are. It should be illegal, but because the Democrats and Republicans get to write the laws, they make what should be illegal legal. Hence, they're an honest thief. So what they do is they put money in the books that costs up to $11.95. Then when they want to buy products out of the commissary, costs $2 for a package of ramen, up to $12 for a small bottle of shampoo, and so on. Then there's e-messaging. What they're doing, these two corrupt political parties, they're just about to eliminate snail mail because there's no money in it. There's e-messaging. So these companies get a monopoly like JPay, and they operate under one basic principle. Whatever it costs to make a telephone call or send a message, inmates and their families will figure out a way to pay for it, no matter how poor they are. How about 96 cents a minute for a telephone call, 47 cents for an email, more if there's a message or a picture involved, $18 an hour to chat, $46 to download a music album, just total corruption. And that's why these people are all lined up against criminal justice reform. That's why these protests, they're going to make some progress, but it's going to be very little, because in addition to all this, then there's a thing called probation for profit. We the people already paid the probation officers, but once again, these two corrupt parties figured out, remember, this is an industry. So how about $180 a month for probation, $100 for an ankle bracelet, and all kinds of charges and fees to hit up people when they get out of jail. Because they either pay up or put them back in jail, which is where the system really wants them. Total corruption. What they're going to do, the people in charge, mainly Democrats, is they're going to give their supporters, African Americans and Hispanics, they're going to bear the brunt of this. They're going to give them a false shuffle. This is when the mob ran Las Vegas, things were a bit different. When the guy was winning money on single-day blackjack, they bring in a special dealer called a mechanic. And what he would do, when he picked the cards up, he could set the deck, and then he would do what was called a false shuffle. It looked like he was shuffling the cards, but he wasn't. So when he started dealing, he didn't deal off the bottom of the deck, he dealt right off the top. And the customer's luck took a sudden turn for the worse. That's kind of what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to make it look like they're changing things, and they might pass 2 or 3 good reforms coming out of the legislature. But what they won't tell you is that they're going to have some kind of hidden charges that the public doesn't know anything about, because they want to keep those jails filled with inmates, and they want as many people on probation as they possibly can get, and the police are still going to be protected. Maybe they'll ban chokeholds, but you're not going to get much more than that. Too much money involved. And there you have it. So, that's it for this week. I want to thank you once again for stopping in, and tune in again next week when we're going to have some more bad news for you. But don't go away. We got our special segment, The Scoundrels of the Week. Thanks again.